Welcome to another week of WSN NFL Pick'em. I am back, Adam Forsyth, joined as always by Ryan Sullivan, where we break down every single game on the NFL slate, give you the best advice we can possibly give you, Ryan. We give you the over, the under, the spread, some player props we might enjoy, and I think we have a lot of fun doing it.
You usually do.
Yeah.
This week you did anyway, because your best bets, hit the nail on both sides.
I hit all the bets. It might have been the best betting weekend I've ever had in my life.
I did pretty well with the best bet, but it's not the full 100% that I was going for. We'll get to that in a minute. But another thing too, we obviously talk a lot on the show because there's only two mics. However, we would like to hear you guys a little bit more as well, so we can talk about your advice. Let us know what your predictions are, your best picks of the week, picks that you think we're absolutely crazy for making, because I know it's insane, but there are a few of them. Throw it out there. We want to hear your
Hit us up in the comment section, and then in next week's episode, we'll kind of go over some of those. We want your wildest takes. What is the best underdog bet you have going for you? What's that one player that we've never heard of who's going to score a touchdown this week? Let us know in the comments, and we will recap it on next week's show. But as for this week, we have to recap last week.
There it is.
Let's go over some stuff. We got the best bets. The best prop bets we hit, and of course we have to make fun of ourselves a little bit, so our biggest miss. Ryan, what was your best bet last week?
My best bet last week was Oakland to beat Cincinnati. I know what you're thinking, Ryan, that's pretty crazy. Cincinnati's pretty darn good this season. No, they're not. So Oakland won with ease. However, the spread was a 9-point spread, and Oakland only won by 7. Once they took a decent enough lead, and a touchdown is a decent enough lead when you're playing the Cincinnati Bengals.
That's all you need.
Yeah, they kind of took their foot off the gas. So a little unfortunate there. It did hit, though. The best bet did hit. So let's not forget that.
All right, my best bet was the Ravens to cover a 4-point spread, and Ryan, did they ever? Crushing the Texans with ease. Not only are they still firing on offense, Lamar Jackson just padding his MVP numbers at this point, and their defense also showed up on Sunday, which makes them even scarier. Baltimore covering the spreads with ease all month long, and hopefully, WSN listeners and viewers took my advice, and you got a little pay dirt on the Ravens bandwagon.
Ooh, see what you did there?
Yeah.
Double entendre.
Best prop bet that hit, again, it was the Ravens stuff. I had everything on Lamar Jackson, the over on the rushing yards, passing touchdowns, all that kind of stuff. And I went a little wild last week and took a couple of big underdogs. One, Atlanta on the money line, that hit, and then Denver on the spread. I also was telling you guys, jump on board the Raiders running back Josh Jacobs to hit the over on the rushing yards against a terrible Cincy run defense, and he did just that.
Nicely done. Now, I took a break from the Jameson Crowder train the last few weeks, the last few episodes. I didn't want people to think they were watching a rerun, so I decided to leave it out. However, Jameson Crowder, to his credit, he did.
He's your boy.
Yeah, he is, man, and he nailed the receptions. He nailed the prop, but I didn't bet on him, so let's not talk about that just yet. My best prop last week that hit was Todd Gurley total yards and or a touchdown as well. If you decide to throw some dough down on that one, he finished with over 130 total yards and a TD. And I also took the over in the Saints-Bucks game, which was easy money. We knew that was coming. They hit that with room to spare. It was good to see.
Gurley had the big day, and as a result, my biggest miss of the week. I thought Jared Goff was going to throw the football a lot, and I had a couple of Rams receivers to get a couple of touchdowns, and that was not in the game plan on Sunday. That was my biggest miss of the week. What was yours?
My biggest miss, easily Carolina. I said they were going to take down the high-flying Falcons,
yeah,
and that did not happen at all. At one point, the game was tied. It was a close one at 0-0, and then the game started, and that's where things went off the rails for the Panthers. So that was an ugly one, but I'm going to make up for that this week because my best bet of the week, and I'm changing things up a little bit here. So let me get through the next couple sentences before you judge me. My best bet this week is Miami to cover the 10.5 point spread they're currently facing with the Cleveland Browns. I'm not taking them to win, but I believe that they can cover. Right now, you've got Myles Garrett, and I'm going to butcher it, but Larry Ogunjobi, I'm pretty sure that's how you say his last name.
Nailed it, buddy.
Ogunjobi? I don't know.
He's not playing either way, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, we know who he is. He's the guy that shoved down Mason Rudolph. So both those guys are out. That D-line is decimated, and right now, Fitzmagic's putting up some points. I mean, I know they lost last week, but they're still putting up some points. They're doing all right in the month of November. I believe them to cover that spread. It's 10.5 points. That's a huge one for the Cleveland Browns, let alone any other team in the NFL.
Anytime you include the word Dolphins and best bet of the week,
I know.
alarm bells go off.
I'm walking on dangerous ground here.
Hey, why not? You need some redemption. I am going to try and go extend my winning streak. My best bet of the week is a risky one, though. The Seattle Seahawks to cover against the Eagles. Philly currently favored by 1.5 points, but I love this matchup for Russell Wilson's offense. It's the Battle of the Birds. Seahawks love playing in Philly. They have gone 6-1 against the spread over their last 7 in the city of brotherly love. So I'm taking an underdog as my best bet of the week.
I dig it.
Yeah? Works for you?
I like it.
All right. If you want to get in on some best bet action, again, hit us up in the comments. And for our listeners living in New Jersey or West Virginia, all you got to do is go to WSN.com for special bonuses and deals. If you want to bet on this week's games, great games on tap. You can compare the best legal online sports books and get exclusive offers when you sign up and start betting. And what are they going to bet on? We got to talk some NFL previews right now with Week 12. It's a very busy one, and we'll start with the Thursday night game, Ryan. It is the Colts at the Texans. Houston favored by 3.5 points. The over-under set at 45.5 points. And why don't you do the honors, sir?
All right, I'll take the reins here. This has the makings, and I don't usually say this for a Thursday nighter, but this has the makings to be a pretty epic battle. A very tight AFC South race going on right now. Houston last week, maybe I should have said that was my best call last week, because I said those bye weeks, they can be killers. And as we saw, Houston came out half the team we thought they would be. The Ravens absolutely beat out. It is the Ravens. Let's be honest here. But nonetheless, Houston did not look like the same team that we saw in the first half of the season. They looked absolutely brutal. They're really going to have to pick it up in this one. Indy has been playing pretty well so far. Obviously, they're not at full speed right now, but it looks like T.Y. Hilton might be healthy for this game, which would be huge for that offense. And the defense has been picking up too. They've been playing nicely as well. So I like Indianapolis in this game. I like the Colts getting right back in the saddle. It's going to be,
you can't take punts from the
I know.
I thought that's my job.
I'd have to throw it in first before you get to it. But no, I like the Colts to win this game. Houston by 3.5. It's not a huge spread. I like the Colts to cover, and I do believe that they'll come out of there with a W as well.
Interesting points, Ryan. First in the AFC South is on the line for this one, too, to kick off Week 12 of the season. So Texans back at home after falling flat in Atlanta, and you nailed it with the bye week theory last week, and it hit. They will be mad for this one. I'm expecting a strong showing from Deshaun Watson. Traveling on a short week, no easy task, but Indy has success in Houston covering the spread in 6 of the last 7 meetings in Texas. So the trends are at least on their side. You mentioned T.Y. Hilton kind of up in the air. Looks like he might play. That's good news. The bad news, they will not have Marlon Mack for this one. Already ruled out with that hand injury. So I'm going to go Texans on this one. And while I wouldn't normally look at the over-under for this showdown, the under has hit in 7 of Houston's last 8 games, so that could be in play on Thursday.
So you don't believe in Nyheim Hines?
I do not, and nor should you.
Okay.
Let's move on to the Sunday slate of games, and it's all morning games pretty much in this one. There's only 2 later games, and we'll start it off with the thrilling showdown. The New York Giants at the Chicago Bears. Chicago favored by 6.5. The over-under at 40.5.
Yeah, this is generally the kind of matchup that you would find on a Thursday night. This is kind of the throwaway. Giants taking on Chicago, and that's a big spread. And not just for the Bears. That's a big spread for most teams in this league. But the Bears, as we've seen, are not very offensive whatsoever. They've had a lot of struggles. The only way they've been really moving the football and putting points on the board is when their ground game gets moving. Thank God, finally, Matt Nagy remembered that he had Tariq Cohen on his team last week. Hopefully we'll get to see him get the ball a little bit more this week. But I believe David Montgomery is going to be the X factor here. If he shows, when he shows, I believe he's going to be the guy that keeps things pretty close here. However, I am taking the Giants in this game because I just threw out that bye week theory.
Yeah.
All right. But these are the guys. This is the team that truly needed a rest. Saquon has been dinged up this season. That offensive line has not been amazing. So give him an extra week. Go back to the drawing board. Let's get things settled. Let's get things straight. And I believe that they can come out of that bye and they can take a win in the Windy City.
So a big game for Barkley.
So and that's the thing is that if this was like a 1-point spread for Chicago, I might feel differently here, but I'm definitely taking the Giants to cover a 6.5-point spread for the Bears. Are you kidding me? Who's making these lines?
Well, Ryan, as you know, I had the joy of being in attendance for the Bears game on Sunday in Los Angeles. My first chance to watch Mitch Trubisky live. This is my big trip of the year. I want to see a star quarterback. I didn't think it could be possible that he's even worse in person. Like the TV gives you like the pretty narrow shot of like, oh, he overthrew that person. There's like 7 other people wide open down the field. So immediately for this game, I'm hopping on the under for Allen Robinson receiving yards. Now, Trubisky was pulled from the game late in the fourth quarter. The coach saying it was an injury, not that he was pulled, but even if he's at quarterback or it's Chase Daniels, I don't really care. I'm liking the under for Allen Robinson receiving yards. The Bears should win this game, but as you mentioned, the spread is a little bit too big for my liking. It's a stay-away game for me completely. I'm not doing the spread. I'm not doing money line. I'm not doing over-under. These two teams are bad. I don't know what they're going to do, but the prop bet, as I mentioned, I'm going with Robinson under receiving yards.
I think that's fair. Here, why don't I take the reins on the next one here? I'll set it up for you. I'll put the ball on the tee. Carolina, the high-flying Panthers, taking on the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans, obviously favored by 9.5 points. The over-under set at 47. Please.
I was just marveled at how well that was amazing. Should do that more often. The Saints, they earned my trust last week, and after a nice bounce back effort, because they did kick me out of my Survivor League with that bad loss a few weeks ago.
Yep.
The line is big, but I still like the Saints to cover this one. Carolina, a mess. Like suddenly Ron Rivera, there's whispers about his job security. There's still this whole Cam Newton. Will they release him by June 1st? Because that's when he's due a massive payout. Kyle Allen, once showing promise early on, he's been a disaster. Again, that brutal red zone interception on Sunday. Like, you just cannot do that. It can't happen. Christian McCaffrey, a stellar daily fantasy play option, especially in this game. I like the over in this game as well, 47 as you mentioned. I thought it would be higher. So the over's hit in the last 5 times these teams have met in the Cajun country, and that is what I am going for in this game, over 47 points.
Okay, now I agree with almost all of that, almost on all fronts. However, the run CMC, you know I love Christian McCaffrey. I'm a huge fan. I mean, as everybody should be. If
you have a
not.
tattoo.
I do.
It's an unspeakable location.
Yes. But the problem with him in the last few games, even though he's been putting up numbers, is that he's not staying on the field. And the reason for that is the fairy tale that once was for Kyle Allen, as you alluded to, has turned to a horrific nightmare very quickly. 4 picks last week, giving him 6 through his last 3 games, 9 on the year. It looks like bleak times right now for the Carolina Panthers. If you can keep, or if you are keeping Christian McCaffrey off the field, that doesn't bode well for you, because this guy has always been their whole offense for the last 2 seasons. And with him on the sidelines, I have no faith in this team whatsoever. I see New Orleans covering with ease. Not to mention that New Orleans defense, they're starting to come around. They're making life pretty tough on the opposing quarterbacks. Let's exclude that Falcons game, all right? Yeah. That was a nightmare in itself. Take the Saints to win. Another little prop, take Michael Thomas, who's been just a target machine as of late. Take him to surpass the 100-yard mark receiving yards.
All right. Yeah, it's going to be career highs for receptions this year. He's on pace for it. He is crushing it. Yeah. So again, as Sully just threw out, Michael Thomas might be a pretty good daily fantasy player. Real money daily fantasy sports, great option for people living in a state where traditional sports betting isn't legal yet. Head to WSN.com. They can set you up to links, DraftKings, FanDuel, a bunch more. Awesome way to do it. And maybe Michael Thomas is the play this week.
Hopefully.
Ryan, what is next on the agenda for our Sunday morning games?
We have the Broncos at Buffalo, and these games just keep getting hotter. Buffalo favored by 4 points at home. The over-under set at 37. And, I know you were on the road over the weekend, okay? You were watching an amazing Trubisky performance. I don't know if you had a chance to watch the amazing Denver first half performance, but we were all thinking, wow, who is this team? What happened to the Broncos? And then we're like, oh, there they are. And they showed up in the second half. The Broncos give up a 20-point first half lead. Are you kidding me? It was absolutely brutal to watch. It's just they look so shaky, it's ridiculous on both sides of the ball. I don't trust this team whatsoever, and I think that Buffalo's only favored by 4 somehow is the biggest compliment the Broncos have gotten this season, because that should be a lot bigger, especially Buffalo at home. This Denver D without Bradley Chubb has been absolutely brutal, and so I would say take the over in this game. Just looking at things here, Buffalo, despite their loss a couple weeks ago to Cleveland, they put up 77 points through their last 3 outings. I like it, and when they're at home, there's just a lot more confidence oozing off of Jake Allen. I like Buffalo to win, I like Buffalo to cover, and I love that over. 37 points isn't that hard to beat.
He thrives off the momentum of all those people tomahawking themselves through tables at the Bills tailgate.
That's right.
Bills Mafia just gets fired up for it. Well, the last game we featured, the Carolina game, had a starting quarterback named Allen. This one features 2. We have Josh and the Bills hosting Brandon and the Broncos. Buffalo, they are, as you said, quietly hanging around. Like there's nothing shiny about their wins, and they're right in the thick of the wild card chase. They're getting it done. I like them to cover this week. They're a perfect 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 meetings against the White Horses. Denver, a complete train wreck. They just 1 win away from home. It was that Chargers game early on. And after that epic meltdown you mentioned against the Vikings, Broncos just pack it in. Like, guys, hit the reset button. Take the rest of the season off. You're not winning this game. Our next game, we have Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. Pittsburgh favored by 6.5 points. Over-under is 39. Bengals still looking for their first win of the season. They've hit double digits in the loss column. The Steelers, on the other hand, trying to keep their slim wildcard hopes alive. This game is a mess. And the odds makers appear to agree because the over-under is ridiculously low. Both teams struggling quarterbacks. Both teams have injuries. Both teams are not very good. History is on the Steelers side, though. They've won 5 in a row in Cincinnati. And that's all I really got for this game is the trend. So I'm going to take it. Go Steelers, go. 6.5 is a little bit dicey for me. I mean, the Raiders only winning by 7 over Cincy on the weekend, and then this game is in Cincinnati. But overall, this game is going to be a disaster. It is bad football.
Yeah, it's not good. I mean, the safe bet, if you're just playing money line only here, I mean, Pittsburgh on paper, absolutely. Anytime you get these AFC North battles, they usually end up putting up quite a few points on the board. But yeah, on paper, money line, Pittsburgh should be the way to go. However, with that spread in play, I'm a little afraid of that myself because neither of these two teams have shown me enough that I could be that confident there. But I do like the under here. It's just set at 39 points. That's actually not too bad. These two have also gone under in 6 of their last 8 matchups together. With that said, Mason Rudolph has looked, I'll just add another log to the fire. Mason Rudolph has looked pretty brutal as of late. I don't know how he's okay to play this game. Let's just throw that out there first and foremost. How this guy doesn't have a dent in his head right now.
Oh, he does.
Nobody knows. But there's a total dent in his game, especially on the stat sheet. 4 picks last week. He has 3 touchdowns in his last 3 games. Since he can't score points to save their lives, this seems like the under is probably your biggest lock here if you're looking for a place to put down money.
Yeah, and under 40 points and advising the under, that's kind of shows this game's a mess.
Yeah.
So let's hopefully go to what we hope is a better game. Miami at Cleveland. It is Ryan's best bet of the week. Cleveland favored by 10.5 points. Over-under set at 44.5.
Yeah. Now the Dolphins, the last few weeks, 3 weeks ago, they started this nice trend. They put up 2 wins in a row. I get it. Last week, you lost to Buffalo by 17. But they still managed to score 20 on a pretty sharp Bills defense. I like Cleveland to win this game. Okay, let's put that down. So again, if we're going money line here, I like the Browns, but I like Miami to cover this spread. And that's why I'm putting them down as my best bet. Obviously, I don't like them to win. But coming off a 10.5 point spread, are you kidding me? Cleveland can barely put up points. Anytime, give or take, this whole season long, even though they have an amazing arsenal, they have some of the best receivers in the game, but Mayfield just can't find anybody. And with the defense so banged up, and we were talking about with Garrett out and whatnot, I just don't see them covering that 10.5 points. Miami will find a way to put points on the board as they have the past few weeks, taking the Dolphins. There will be the Dolphins very soon.
They'll be going golfing very quickly.
They will be very soon.
There's no playoffs.
But I'm taking the Dolphins to cover that. Cleveland to win on the money line.
All right, you just mentioned the word board, and I'm going to put. It's not quite boring football, but it's bad football.
Yeah.
But here we go. This is my statement. I'm giving the Browns one more chance. I'm putting it on the board. This is their breakout massive game, and if they prove me wrong, I'm done. I'm washing my hands clean of them, and they're dead to me. They showed signs of life on Thursday, an impressive Thursday win over the Steelers. The question becomes, though, can they kind of keep this thing going? A double-digit spread, as you mentioned, that's all kind of trouble for bettors. I'm taking Cleveland in my survivor pool. I have 1 survivor pool left out of the 50 I had. And Cleveland will be my play this week, but that won't get you much juice on the money line, so just kind of what's the point unless you're doing some sort of parlay. So let's turn to the props. I like Nick Chubb to score the first TD of the game. That should get you some money. I call it a gut feeling. I also think huge game. Again, I'll wash my hands of him if he screws me over here. Look for Odell Beckham to have his best game of the season. I'm thinking triple digits for receiving yards, so I'm taking the over on that, and for him to find the end zone.
Wow, fair enough.
So I'm putting it out there, Browns. This is on you guys. Don't let me down, and if you do, oh boy. The rest of this WSN Pick'em season, you guys are going to get thrashed.
Yeah, the W will stand for wrath pretty soon. You'll be laying it down.
Silent W. Let's keep things going. We have Tampa Bay. We have Atlanta. It is in Georgia. Atlanta favored by 4.5, and the over-under set at 51.5 points. Bit of a lame duck kind of week when it comes to entertaining games, as we have been discussing, but this one has the potential to really deliver. The Falcons used their bye week to hit the reset button. A late charge, playoff charge, pretty much unlikely at this point, but they're finally playing like that high-flying offense, Atlanta-style football that we've known for all these years. While the Buccaneers are leaking points this month, now trending towards the top of the league list for points allowed. As a result, I love this matchup for the Falcons. Only 4.5 points. Are you kidding me? I nearly made this my best bet of the week. Calvin Ridley finally showed up last week. He's a great daily fantasy play for this weekend. And you can get some pretty solid odds on Brian Hill finding the end zone. And finally, the easy play would appear to be the over at 51.5 points with these two teams, but the trends actually suggest otherwise. 7 of Atlanta's last 8 games have gone under. So just a fair warning on there, if you're going to jump into that pool, tread lightly.
Okay, now I don't remember if I told you this story or not, but I went down to the Seahawks-Bucs game a few weeks ago.
Okay.
And I was sitting way up in the nosebleeds. There's a fella sitting next to me, and he's wearing Jameis Winston's Combine shirt.
Okay.
And I'm thinking to myself, okay, we're up in the nosebleeds. This guy's wearing the Winston Combine. It's got to be a relative. You know, the relative tickets, they throw them way up there. You know, just along with us common folk.
Yes.
But anyhow, so I asked this guy, and I said, like, are you related and stuff? And I won't say if he was or not. But he started talking about how Jameis is just as good as Russell Wilson, but he didn't have the Legion of Boom backing him up and whatnot. Okay, now is Jameis's time to prove it, and not only for all of us doubters, but for his job. Jameis Winston is playing for employment these days. Marcus Mariota, I mean, you know, these guys they'll always be connected throughout their whole careers from getting selected so close to one another in that draft. Marcus Mariota's without a job right now. He's holding the clipboard on the sideline. Your starting role is in jeopardy because you cannot stop turning over the football, Jameis Winston. He's putting up great numbers, great yards. He's airing it out. He's finding Mike Evans all over the place, but it's these interceptions. It's these fumbles that are absolutely killing him. I don't know where I'm going with this. I just went off on a rant there. I apologize.
You got very upset.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I'm taking Atlanta to win this game. I'm taking Atlanta to cover, but I like the over in this game because Winston is putting up a ton of yards still, and Matty Ryan has also found his throwing shoulder, which is nice to see. So, but I do love your Ridley play as well.
So we got the Ridley thing. I will not progress the show any further until we find out, was he a relative?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all I needed to know. If you want great in-depth interviews with extended family members of Jameis Winston and Ryan Sullivan, head to WSN.com, where you will also find extensive odds and free picks for all major sports, tons of betting guides for beginners, and anyone wanting to learn more about strategy and how sports betting works. Ryan, what is our next game on tap?
We have Detroit and Washington, and for this game, I promise to actually talk about the teams involved in this game.
Okay.
That's my goal. Detroit favored by 3.5. The over-under set at 42.5. I think you're going to like this. Dwayne Haskins last week looked more like Dennis Haskins.
That is a deep cut Saved by the Bell reference.
Right? It's pretty good, right? That's not bad.
Mr. Belding? That's who it was, right?
Mr. Belding.
Wow.
Right? Nailed it. But no, I mean, the offense just looked absolutely horrific for these Redskins, as it has the last few games. Who are we kidding? Everyone was waiting. Darius Geis, he's going to be big. He's going to tear it up. Well, he got 7 carries for 24 yards, not bowling anybody over. What definitely was, though, bowling everybody over, was the emergence of Bo Scarborough. I loved this kid back in college, and that love has not died off one bit. He finally got his chance, and he started dominating out there. I mean, he put up 55 yards on just a few carries, and he threw a touchdown as well. I can't speak English, but he threw a touchdown for Detroit.
Because you're so excited about Bo Scarborough.
He put down a touchdown. He didn't throw it. Whew, Bo Scarborough, I love the man. So anyways, I'm taking Detroit to win this game. I'm just going to get away from talking here because I'm just throwing gibberish out there. But Bo Scarborough, I love him. He will be the X factor in this game. I do not like the Redskins. I've given up on that team completely, as you should too. Detroit to win, Detroit to cover.
All right, struggling Lions up against the brutally bad Redskins, as you just mentioned. Yeah. Washington can't score at all. Like, it's becoming comical at this point. They've scored the fewest points in the NFL. Like, how is that possible when there's the Bengals and the Dolphins in the league? But I also don't trust the Lions either. So it's like a real problem with this game. What do you do if you're looking to play? I'm avoiding the spread. As long as Jeff Driscoll's under center, I'm taking the under in Detroit games. And one more note, this one's really weird. Washington plays great against the Lions at home. They've won 13 of the last 14 meetings. So whatever that tells you, keep that in mind if you are looking to take the Lions or the Redskins this week. Let's keep things rolling in our afternoon early games. We have Oakland at the New York Jets. Oakland favored by 3, over under 46.5 points.
I love your obscure trends, by the way. When you go back like the last 15 matchups, when Mark Rippon was playing, like
I busted out some deep, like I found the 1989 NFL Almanac.
Yeah,
I was like, all right, but that is a weird trend.
Yeah, well, I was looking today on social media, and there a photo popped up a little bit earlier with Alex Smith and like his rehab and how he's starting to get better, and after that horrific leg injury. I'm thinking to myself, his job could still be waiting for him in Washington. That's how bad that team is. But anyhow, let's get off that game. Let's go to Oakland at the New York Jets. Oakland favored by 3 points. The over/under set at 46.5, and this might actually be a half decent game because the Jets are starting to turn the ship a little bit. Nothing too crazy. I mean, this team's not going anywhere fast, but the Jets are starting to realize what they have, and they're starting to use the parts nicely. Jameson Crowder, I love him. But they're involving Demaryius Thomas. I mean, out of nowhere, Ryan Griffin had a great week. I mean, straight out of Family Guy right onto the field, so it was good to see. And they're starting to use Lev Bell a little bit better as well, which is also nice. But I still like Oakland in this game. The spread is not that huge, even though they're on the road. Who are we kidding? MetLife has never given anybody home field advantage before, so take that for what it is. But Oakland by 3, no problem. Right now, the Oakland Raiders have got a cupcake schedule to round out the year. I see them really, really battling it out for top spot in the AFC West. I see them as a playoff team. They could be a team that could upset as well in the postseason. They're that good. Obviously the Chargers a few weeks ago, maybe the Chargers should have won that game. They beat Cincinnati. Now they've got the Jets. Things are just getting easier and easier for these guys, it seems, and I see Oakland just dominating in this game.
Question.
Please.
What's a cupcake schedule?
You get different kinds of frosting every week, and that's exactly what John Gruden is enjoying right now.
Okay. They're all some sweet matchups.
This
perhaps
week
that's what
green
I was thinking.
frosting. Last week there was orange frosting. Yeah.
All right, that makes sense. As for this game, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's hard to get a read on for me, anyways. Oakland hates traveling east, especially when they are heading to New York. They've lost 5 straight to the Jets at the Meadowlands. At the same time, I'm still leaning towards the Raiders to cover the spread. Maybe it's the field goal game. Like it's going to be a very close game, maybe down to the final few plays. I think you kind of have to take the field goal. I don't know. As for let's just go to the prop bets because again, I'm not getting a read on this game. Yeah. I have been riding Josh Jacobs. I mentioned it in my best bets thing off the top that he's just. I'm cashing every week with this guy hitting the over on rush yards. Well, the Jets have a stellar run defense. So a word of caution, I will be shying away from him as a daily fantasy option, and I advise you two to do the same. You and Thomas.
Yeah. Going full Thomas.
Full Thomas. Wow. All right, let's keep things going with the next game. This one is a great game. Seattle at Philadelphia. Philadelphia currently favored by 1.5 points. The over-under set at 48. It is my best bet of the week. A bold choice locking in an underdog as my best bet, but I'm feeling pretty good after sniffing out a few upsets last week. So I think when the Seahawks, I'm going with them. They're the best bet. I'm taking them to win, and they find success in Philly. They have covered the spread in 6 of the last 7 meetings in the city of brotherly love. They've won 5 straight on the road, and with the 49ers in their sights for the division lead, I think they can put Philly on their heels early. So I rarely go this route with prop bets, but I like this one. I like Seahawks to lead after the first quarter. You can find that one, and it pays pretty well.
Nice.
Also, with Tyler Lockett, he's on track to play, but he is still a little bit hobbled. He'll play, and they'll be targeting him, so it frees up everybody else. So I'm going to take Josh Gordon on the over for receptions.
Wow. Okay. So now, I like the Gordon play. I think that's not too bad. Based on what he's shown so far in Seattle, it's not going to be a huge number they put up for reception total. So I think the over is pretty safe. However, the Seattle to lead. Seattle has been notorious as a second half team. They let the other guys put up points and then they pull things around. So I don't know about that one, but I do appreciate your confidence. Yeah, you went into that with an even brow. It was good to see. Yeah, it was like an Anthony Davis-like pick there. So I like your pick, though, overall of Seattle. And, I mean, the spread is meaningless in this. 1.5 points. It's a throwaway. But I bought in. I'm drinking the Seattle Kool-Aid right now. Not only did I see, what they had firsthand at that Bucs game, but of course on the Monday Nighter against San Fran, they showed the whole world that, these guys are for real. In this game, I see big things for DK Metcalf. There's just something about it. You're going on the Gordon train. I think Metcalf's going to step it up. Like you say, Lockett's a little dinged, so that'll play into his favor. But the big one that I see, if you want to play the prop, I think Dallas Goedert is coming down with a touchdown. Now, while I do like an Eagle player, I don't like the Eagles in this game, but Dallas Goedert scored 3 touchdowns in his last 4 games, 3 in his last 4. There it is.
Math guy.
Math is hard for me. I like Dallas to score on the prop. I like Seattle to win on the bet.
All right, let's keep it rolling. We have reached the late afternoon games on the Sunday schedule, and we'll start with Jacksonville at Tennessee. Tennessee favored by 3 points. The over-under, fairly low, 41.5. What do you make of this game, Ryan?
Well, it's no secret that I've been anti-Ryan Tannehill.
You have?
Yeah. Well, I was going to say since his move to Tennessee, but I've been anti-Tannehill for a while. Who are we kidding? But it's time for me to turn the tables here. It's time for me to come back to reality because I don't know what's happened, but this guy has found his game, and it is working right now. They've won 3 of 4 since he took over and have averaged 26.25 points a game in that same span. So I like Tennessee to win. I like the over in this game as well. The total has gone over in 6 of Jacksonville's last 8 whilst playing in Nashville. See, a little doing the throwbacks like you do there. But there you go. These two like putting up points. They like putting up shootouts for the Titan faithful. And unlike your trip last year to Nissan Stadium, I think this one's actually going to put some points on the board. I see this being actually a decent game, and to start out the afternoon, I think we're going to have a barn burner.
Awesome. All right. Last year went Ravens, Titans. The score was 22-0. The game was brutal.
And you sat in a hurricane.
I sat in a hurricane. I'm actually going pretty much the polar opposite of you for this one, buddy. The Colts, Texans clashing on Thursday, so these two teams will enter this game knowing that they're at least 2 games back of a divisional lead. It's nearing must-win territory for both games, and I think they're going to come out tight. Nothing overly spectacular about either team. I think they're going to keep things very close. I expect it to come down to maybe a field goal. Again, another field goal game. Mm-hmm. So as a result of this, the only thing I kind of found tempting out there was I'm a big fan of the over on field goals made, and so I'm just going to avoid picking a winner. However, if you feel the need to dabble, this might kind of tilt it one way or the other. Tennessee's 4-1 against the spread in the last 5 games against Jacksonville. But again, I'm not going to play the spread or the money line on this one. I am going to take the over on the field goals. That is my prop pick.
The over on field goals, not the over in the game.
Not on the game.
Okay.
If anything, it's probably going to be the under because there's going to be a lot of field goals, and I'm going to cash.
It's going to be a lot of field goals.
Cha-ching!
You're not wrong.
All right, we only actually have one other late afternoon game on the schedule, just 2 this week, and should be a great game. Dallas at New England. New England favored by 6.5 points. The over-under at 46. Ryan, we saved the best for last. 3 great games to close out the week. We start with the Pats hosting the Cowboys. I don't want to sound like a broken record. As long as the Pats keep covering, I'm just going to keep taking the Pats to cover. How is that?
Fair.
How is that? It's printing money. It makes no sense. It wasn't one of the prettiest wins against Philly last week. They still got the cover done. Yeah. Anything less than a touchdown spread against New England, until they prove me otherwise, I'm just going to hammer it every single time. And they're back on home field where they've won 5 in a row. Sign me up. I'm also very curious to see how Dak Prescott handles the pressure of Pat's defense. He's been spreading out the ball very well to that trio of Amari Cooper, Randall Cobb, Michael Gallup. You just don't really know how the Pats are going to deploy their star D-men. So I would advise you don't take any of those 3 in daily fantasy. And also think this is a game where you just kind of have to get the dirty touchdowns. I think James White is a solid option for a red zone score, either rush or pass.
I like it. Yeah. James White, he's been very underappreciated, but he's been very steady, especially in daily fantasy sports.
It might be cold, a cold game.
Yeah.
I like it.
Okay, that's fair. Now, the way I see the Pats have been an interesting bunch the last few weeks. Obviously, against the Ravens, who are we kidding? The Ravens are the Ravens this season. They're unreal. However, that was kind of the start of something. Last week, they narrowly beat out the Philadelphia Eagles to a 1-score game. It seems to me that when they're facing a mobile quarterback, they kind of get back on their heels a little bit. If somebody can break it outside that tackle box, just like Dak Prescott can and has shown many times this season, the secondary kind of gets back on their heels and they peel off their man. So I kind of like Dallas to cover that spread. I like New England to win. Let's just throw that down. But I don't like that spread whatsoever because I believe Dak can move it out. I'm just trying to get my words together here, like I would if I was in the Dallas locker room. Before I give a pregame speech here,
you sound like Jason Garrett.
Yeah, exactly.
The pregame.
Yeah, right. But anyhow, no, I see Dallas providing quite a bit of offense if they can just, get some play action going, break it outside that tackle box. If they can fool them a little bit. I mean, you look back even a few weeks ago when they played Buffalo, not a huge win for them, but they had some trouble covering Jake Allen as well. Once you get outside, you face a scrambling quarterback. This secondary is not as good as it has shown that it has been all season long. So anyhow, that's my take on it.
Yeah.
I like Dallas to cover. I like New England to win. And I don't believe that this will be a field goal game.
All right.
Yeah. Your last two have been field goal games. So I think that, this is going to snap the...
So it's not a field goal game and Dallas will cover. So that's like a 3-point wedge you gave yourself there. That is nice and tight.
No. I was just saying it's not going to be a game where it's just back and forth field goals.
I meant field goal game as in it's going to come down to a field goal to win the game.
Well, I misunderstood what you said.
Either way, we have an accord.
We do.
Let's get going to this one because this is the game I've had circled on my calendar for a while. The Sunday night game is Green Bay at San Francisco. San Fran favored by 3 points currently. The over-under 46.5. Easily my game of the week. A showdown between my beloved Packers and the 49ers. Much like the San Fran game against Seattle a few weeks ago, where I thought Seattle might pull off the upset, this will be close. The home team spread of only 3 points shows that the odds makers kind of agree. I've said repeatedly on this show now, it's probably the WSN viewers are probably getting sick of it. I just don't quite like what the 49ers are selling. Like, they continue to get ugly wins. I picked Seattle for the upset in California, and I think Green Bay probably does the same. The Packers are 4-1 against the spread in their last 5, and look for Aaron Jones to have a big day. San Fran's run defense struggling a little bit. They're allowing an average of 145 yards a game over the last 3 weeks. So I'm taking Jones as my daily fantasy option. I'm taking him on the over for rushing yards, and I'm taking him to score a touchdown.
There have been moments when Aaron Rodgers has looked pretty average this season, but usually for these primetime matchups, that's when he really brings out the A game. And just looking at this San Francisco team, you look at the record, you look at them on paper, they're pretty damn good. But they're really starting to turn into a competitive part of their schedule, and their roster, unfortunately, is getting hit pretty hard right now. Matt Breida looks like he's out for a couple weeks. George Kittle didn't play the last couple weeks, a little dinged up. And you got Emmanuel Sanders, no lock to play, probably questionable in this one. And Dee Ford looks like he's out a couple weeks as well, coming off the edge. So on paper, you look at these rosters, and you got some fill-in guys coming in, like Deebo Samuel had an amazing last couple weeks, mind you.
He looks good.
The guy's capable. He will be good, and he is good right now. But if I'm putting all of my faith right now in a guy named Deebo, I don't know if I'm doing it. I don't know if I'm buying it, and I'm definitely not picking up what they're selling there in San Francisco. I like Green Bay to win this game. That team just has too much confidence. That team has too much veteran experience and veteran savvy. I see the Packers walking away with this one as well.
All right, one more game to go, but first, head to WSN.com for state-by-state guides to find out if sports betting is legal where you live or when you can expect it to become legal. And then we can go into this final game, the Monday Nighter. Another great game, Ryan. What's your takeaway from this one?
Yeah, we got Baltimore taking on the Los Angeles Rams. Baltimore favored by 3 points. The over-under set at 46.5. And what did I say last week? What did I say? If the Rams want to win, they need to feed Todd Gurley the football. Finally, they listened. Over 130 total yards, put up a touchdown. Finally. However, it's just not going to be enough. It's nice that they finally figured it out because Jared Goff looks shakier than you on a Bosu ball. But you know what?
What's a Bosu ball?
I don't know if I've seen you on a Bosu.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, you know, the exercise ball. Everyone's shaky on those. That's the joke. Okay. Oh, man. But anyhow, he's looked absolutely brutal, as you can attest to after watching him firsthand last week. So, yeah, there's just not enough gas in the tank to keep up with the high-flying Ravens right now. Lamar Jackson looked incredible, obviously. But if it's not him, it's Mark Ingram. Hollywood Brown has had a great season. Mark Andrews is having an incredible season. So whether it's through the air or on the ground, these Ravens are just dominating. And their defense as well has really turned a corner. And they're killing it right now too. The Rams are they're free falling. This is not a good time for them to take on a team like the Baltimore Ravens. I see them getting absolutely swallowed up. And I see the Ravens putting the final nail in the Rams' coffin, the playoff coffin, on Monday night.
I agree with a lot of your points there. You said I was at the Rams-Bears game. like, I watched spelling bees more entertaining than this. Like, I was fairly confident. I was high up again with the common folk.
But you really like spelling bees, though.
And that is true. Wow. But I was sitting way up top. But based on, like, I could see some of the players sweating. There was 2 players. It was the punters for both teams because they were the only people getting a workout because they were kicking the football every 4 plays, 4 and out, 4 and out, 4 and out. And it's weird that this is kind of the way that Los Angeles is playing this year. They're focused on just like a grinded out style game. They won against the Bears. They got the victory, so they don't care what the final score was. Like daily fantasy people, bettors, they're annoyed. But it's kind of like the trend. In fact, the unders hit in 5 of the last 6 games at the LA Coliseum because they're just playing this like kind of. It's a departure from what they are used to, and no one's really caught on to that yet. However, all that being said, good luck trying to contain a Lamar Jackson and like keep it a grinded out low game. Like Lamar Jackson made some good money for a lot of bettors over the last few weeks. I don't think he'll quite have the superstar stats he's been putting up, but I still think Baltimore wins this one and they close out week 12 with a victory in Los Angeles because the Rams are brutal.
No, and the problem with the Rams, and this is getting away from week 12, but there's so much money tied up for these guys for so many years that they really don't have anywhere to swim right now. They're in trouble. This team's in trouble for at least the next few seasons. So, I mean, hopefully they can turn it around in this game, even though I don't see that happening. But, let alone at some point this season, because they're in big trouble in Los Angeles.
Big trouble.
Big trouble.
Well, there you go. That's all the games. It was a very busy week. It should be a great weekend of football. Let's recap this quickly, Ryan. Our best bets of the week, the ones that we are the most confident in, the ones that we're like, we got this. Let's go. Who is your best bet of the week?
Yes, absolutely. I took Miami to cover the 10.5-point Cleveland favorite spread. I just want to make sure. I got to make sure that's deciphered and very clear. I'm not taking Miami to win. I'm taking them to cover that spread. Come on, 10.5 points to Cleveland? Ridiculous.
All right, for the first time, I believe, in our WSN show, all these weeks of doing it, the first time we've had a best bet as an underdog. I like Seattle to win against the Eagles. Philly currently favored by 1.5, but I just like this matchup for Russell Wilson's offense. I'm just so excited about this game. The Battle of the Birds, I think the Seahawks fly east and they escape with a victory. That is my best bet.
That was the pun you went with?
They fly?
You usually have pretty good puns.
It's the Battle of the Birds.
That's not bad.
All right, guys, you've heard our predictions, and now we want to hear from you. We're turning things over to you. Give us, as we mentioned off the top, give us your wildest predictions for week 12, and we promise to discuss the top comments in next week's video. Put us to shame. I want some obscure ones, guys. Don't let us down, and be sure to like and subscribe for weekly NFL predictions.
Yeah, I want to be trolled. I want to hear the feedback. I want to hear the people.
I'm not inviting that upon myself, but
I have a private account.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
I want the heat. I want it.
You're going to troll yourself.
Bring it.
All right, week 12, it is coming up. Should be a great one. We'll be back for week 13, WSN weekly picks. Again, head to WSN.com for all your betting needs. Daily fantasy, they got it all. It is jam-packed. We will see you guys again next week.